Hey there, Cut fam. We're thrilled to announce that Undertow Content has launched an exciting new webinar series, Pitch Please, a data-driven blueprint for pitching your projects. 5 Zoom sessions over 5 weeks presented by 5 top-tier industry experts sharing the insights and strategies you need to sharpen your pitch and unlock bigger opportunities. After our sold-out South by Southwest Sydney panel last year, we knew we had to bring you more on data, marketing, and the starting with the end approach. So we're diving deep into those topics and giving you a blueprint to create your perfect pitch and take you to the next level. To celebrate the launch, we're giving away 2 free Series Pass packages, which includes all 5 webinars plus a one-on-one mentoring session with the Undertow team. Want in? Head to Undertow's Instagram account at Undertow Content and comment Pitch Please on the pinned post. Entries close midnight, April 11. Full entry details and T&Cs are on our website. Let's elevate those pitches together. Good luck!
An Undertow Content podcast.
Undertow Content acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land on which we are recording this podcast. We pay our respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people Australia-wide. Welcome to Cut, the podcast, and another bonus episode where we use this platform as a launchpad for emerging voices who are shaking things up. We're here to bridge the gap between the next generation and you, our curious listeners. In this week's bonus ep, we have Charles Olsen. Charles is a writer, director, and producer. In 2024, he completed a director's attachment on Jungle Entertainment's Good Cop, Bad Cop. Also in 2024, he wrote and directed a short crime thriller, Guardian Angel, which premiered at the Oscar and BAFTA-qualifying Foyle Film Festival. Charles has produced, written, directed and/or edited 12 short films with screenings at South by Southwest Sydney, LA Shorts, and more. Charles has a law degree, which we imagine comes in very handy. Enjoy our chat with Charles.
Tell us about you.
Well, I'm a writer, director, producer. I'm an AFTRS graduate and I'm now working at Jungle Entertainment. I've made 12 short films, so quite a few now.
Yeah.
They've screened at places like South by Southwest Sydney, LA Shorts, Flickerfest, Adelaide, Hawaii, many other places. I have a new short film this year, a crime thriller, Guardian Angel, which I wrote and directed and Nell produced. That's now submitting to festivals, hoping to get it out in the world. Previously written a pharmaceutical industry thriller feature screenplay, which appeared in the trending top 10 on the Blacklist website. That was in 2020, which was right before COVID. That sort of didn't help, but that was pretty cool. I've also worked in the film industry in Canada, and I have a law degree, an arts degree, and a master's degree in film. So a HECSTET to go with it.
I was just going to say, your HECSTET must be lovely.
Let's not talk about it.
Yeah, at least you've got the law degree, so that could maybe make up for, money-wise. You can make the money up in the law side as opposed to the arts side because, we're underpaid until we're overpaid.
Yeah, the arts doesn't pay all that well, but the law wasn't the right place for me, so I've left that behind.
Good. It's good that you figured that out and you know that now.
Took a little while, but I got there.
Yeah, cool. So what are you working on? You kind of told us a little bit about your short film. Are you working on anything else at the moment?
So I'm working on a feature to write and direct. I have a couple of scripts that I'm working on, sort of crime thriller space. Working towards shooting one hopefully next year. But, it's a long road and it's a great step up in complexity compared to short films. So working on that at the moment. At Jungle, we have 4 shows to go into production in the next 12 months. So work there is very busy. And there's a new show coming out, Good Cop, Bad Cop, which will show on Stan next year, and the CW and Roku in the US. I worked on that show and did a director's attachment with Corey Chen for an episode. So it's not my, creative work, but it was a fun show to work on. I really like it, and I've seen a few of the edits, and I think it's going to be really good.
What is your unique style and flavour that you would bring to a project?
you had a question for me about superpower, which I think is a similar question.
Yes.
And you might say, what makes you stand out? And I feel like being a filmmaker is not really magic. I don't really think about it as like a superpower that you can have. Makes it very mystical. And I think of it like there's a metaphor from baseball. They talk about five-tool players, which is a player who can hit, throw, catch, and some other that I forget, baseball things.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I kind of think of film like that. And to bring it back, I sort of feel like I'm creative. I can write, produce. I'm a good communicator and I'm good at working with people. I think visually and understand film and how it's constructed. So I feel like those are the tools you need to be a great director. And that's what I'm working towards. I think that people hire you once you have proven yourself. And I think to do that, you need to go from shorts to features. And so that's why I'm doing that at the moment. And so why should they hire me? Well, check back in with me in 12 months' time and maybe we'll talk.
Sounds great.
Well, I was going to say, I know the answer to this question. Why should people hire you? You're like so lovely. That's what everyone says about you. Like, so Charles works at AFTRS and everyone has the exact same feedback. Oh, Charles is so lovely, like such a nice guy. And I think that's a huge selling point. And then also, you are a producer background. For directors and writers to have the whole knowledge of how everything works and also be able to put that hat on if they need to, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a huge selling point.
Really good. The ultimate slashy.
The ultimate slash. Also,
Oh, well, thanks, Nell.
You're very particular about what you want, which I think makes you a
That's
really
a really
good
good thing.
director.
Yeah.
It's annoying sometimes for producer, but very good for final product.
Yes.
Yes, I can remember we did a few location scouts together.
Yes.
And you're like, this house is fine. And it was, some of them were pretty close. I think that film and TV can be very detailed. And if something in the frame is not right, that's all someone will notice. They might not even notice it consciously, but like something in the location doesn't say the right thing. And they'll be like, isn't this supposed to be this sort of a house, not that sort of a house? And I think some of the best films are highly detailed. And so I think that knowing what you want and being clear in that and not compromising on things that are important. And then I think, you're having a producing background helps you see what you can compromise on that's not critical. Yeah, I think that's a good approach. But, if you compromise on something that is important and it impacts on the final result, well, what are you doing? You should have stood your ground.
For sure. So who's your dream to work with?
I'm already working with some great people through Jungle, and that has been, an awesome part of working there. Directors and showrunners, people like Trent O'Donnell, who's a partner at Jungle and has done a lot of comedy in the US and Australia. John Quaintance, who was the showrunner on Good Cop, Bad Cop. He wrote on Will and Grace and Workaholics. So he's an experienced US comedy writer, not a household name in Australia, but Good Cop, Bad Cop on Stan might change that. And others like Michael Petroni, Sarah Scheller, Gretel Vella, Liz Doran, like really great Australian showrunners. And I've worked with Philip Noyce there, which was great. We spent a lot of time driving around looking at locations together, and we're mates now, so that was cool. But one person I'd really love to work with is George Miller. Obviously, Mad Max Fury Road is one of the great action films. George is basically a national treasure. But a few of the things I particularly like about George, he was originally a doctor. So I can identify with the career change. And he writes and directs and produces. So I think it is simple to pigeonhole and categorize people, but George does everything. And when he has a project like Babe, where he fits best as a producer, he does that and he hires a writer and a director. And then Mad Max, those are his babies. So that's an approach I'd sort of like to take in my career. And I think Mad Max, particularly Fury Road, is a good example of where the details, it's highly detailed filmmaking. Yeah. Which makes it good for rewatching. I think you can pick up something new on every watch.
What do you need next to move your career forward?
I need a feature film. It's a really difficult step to take, going from shorts to features. You go from working with your friends, relying on volunteers and working on weekends, to needing actual money to pay people because you need to shoot for an entire month. Creatively, it's a massive increase in complexity, but there's definitely a view that you're unproven until you've made a feature and then you become legit and you're hireable and doors can open up. I think that making 12 shorts is a really good grounding for being ready to do that. So that's what I need to do next. That's what I'm working on.
So what kind of film are you going to pay to see at the movies?
Paid to see quite a few movies recently, and it's been really interesting to see what's on. Went and saw A Quiet Place Day One, the third Quiet Place film, and having seen the previous films in the cinema, I knew that like they're really good at the cinema. Remember the first one was very impactful. The silence and like you didn't dare eat your popcorn.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And like afterwards, leave the cinema, go into the bathroom and turn the tap on and then thinking, oh, that's a noise. The aliens are going to get me. Really impactful. So I went and saw that at the cinema. It was pretty good. It wasn't as good or as quiet as the previous ones, but it was good. But I did notice like the Showtimes board where they have like the red lettering for what's on like that day. And it was 4 horror movies, including a sequel, which was A Quiet Place. It was a franchise superhero film, and it was an animated kids sequel. And that's kind of what's on offer at the moment. I did see an original indie film, Love Lies Bleeding, at the cinema this year, and it was like so good, instant classic.
A24.
And yeah, right, A24. So, seal of approval there. You don't need to watch the trailer. You can just go and see an A24 film and know it's good. Tonight, I'm going to go see The Substance, Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. And the reason I'm seeing that is there was not really a trailer, but an ad on YouTube, which was like half-second cuts of the film intercut with shots of an audience in a cinema going like gasping and laughing. And it was like, see it in a crowd, very impactful ad. So I bought a ticket or a few tickets, taking some friends and going. But it's a horror film. Body horror, yeah. So I feel like, what would I pay to see at the cinema? Well, I'd see a lot of films at the cinema, but what can you pay for at the cinema? And that seems to be horror films at the moment. I just saw Rebel Ridge on Netflix, and that was so good. Adaptation of a Jack Reacher novel that doesn't actually exist, but it's pretty much that. And it was amazing, so good, but only on Netflix.
What do you wish the bigwigs knew?
Like the decision makers.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about this one. I mean, I feel like it would be easy to criticize the decision makers on the kind of projects they select and commission and what gets made and what gets seen. But I think it's as true today as ever. And I think it's from William Goldman's book. Might have seen this originally, but nobody knows anything. Nobody knows what will be a success. No one knows what will be a hit. And they don't know why one movie finds an audience and makes $100 million and one movie disappears without a trace, which is why we have superhero movies, because people go to them and it doesn't matter if they're good or not. I think that that's changing with some superhero fatigue.
Yeah.
But what's filling that at the moment is horror films. And there's very few films for like adults to just go and enjoy. But I wouldn't suppose that I know more than the bigwigs. They're trying to make money and they're trying to find things that people will pay to go see. And they're risk averse. But I think we know why that is. I wish they would take more risks and be more willing to lose money. But, I can't afford to do that. So why could they? But Disney, they go out and buy every franchise in existence. I saw Alien Romulus at the movies, franchise sequel horror film, and Disney own that. So they're just in the business of buying IP and milking it. But that's what makes money.
Yeah. All right. Give us your pitch.
Pitch for myself, pitch for a project. Like, what is
For yourself.
I think that I'm in that space between shorts and features, working to break through that barrier. It's very difficult to do and it's very difficult to be successful, but I have all the tools, been working at it for a while now, and I just want to make a great movie and for that to be successful and let me make more. I don't know if that's a great pitch.
No, it is.
Very humble pitch.
You've got to be able to advocate for yourself and, it's hard.
It's like an Australian thing to be modest, and it's a very American thing to, extol your own virtues.
Yes.
I think that there's probably a good balancing point about halfway between those two. Some Americans can be quite insufferable, but some Australians can be too understated. I think you actually can see that in some of the films that we make. A lot of Australian films are very understated, and some American films are, highly stylized. I think that's often a difference in our relative cinemas. And some of like a really understated American film can be really good. And then some really overstated, stylized Australian films land really well, like Baz Luhrmann. They're as big as Australian films come in terms of their tone, and they land with audience. And yeah, professionally, you need to be able to pitch yourself. It doesn't come easy to Australians, but we work on it.
Charles has set himself up very well with that law degree. He's worked with some great creatives, and that will only help him as he moves forward in his career. If you're an emerging practitioner in the biz and want to be on one of our Launchpad episodes, shoot us an email via our website with your bio, resume, headshot, and all that jazz. We'll see you next time. Cut is an Undertow content podcast. Your hosts are Amanda Browne and Nell Nakkan. Music composed by Genevieve Patrick, produced by Ali Aitken.